And of course, I want to thank you all for being here, welcome you all to come to this great momentous event to celebrate 2 new commissioners coming into office. And so the first thing we should do is we should adopt the agenda.
Mayor, move we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Without further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved unanimously. All right, so with that in line, with the roll call, all are in attendance. So now I'd like to call Mr. H.C. Williamson to the microphone to deliver the invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. Can we pray together? Father, we thank you for this proceeding today. Thank you for those new commissioners that will be coming on board. We know that you've said that righteousness exalts a nation. And you didn't speak of religious ritual, but you spoke of that relationship with you. And out of that relationship comes that humility, that character that flows out and blesses others. So we pray for each one, and I pray myself that I'll maintain that attitude of respect for you, the attitude of honor to you in my life, and that I'll continue to pray for each of these commissioners. So we bless those that are standing on the commission already, and we especially bless Helen Warren, Craig Carter, and Todd Chase. Pray that they'll keep their priorities in the right place, though this is a demanding responsibility, that they'll give time first of all to you and then time to their family. And thank you for their dedication to the community. Yours is the power and glory and the might, and we trust you, and we declare that our hope is in you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Williamson.
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Craig Carter,
I, Craig Carter,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
honor,
honor, protect,
and
and defend
defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and government of the United States
and government of the United States
and the state of Florida,
and the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
and under the Charter
and under the Charter
of the City of Gainesville,
of the City of Gainesville.
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of City Commissioner
perform the duties of City Commissioner
on which I now am about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
No giggling this year.
Okay. You'll raise your right hand, please. I, Todd Chase,
I, Todd Chase,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, honor, protect, and defend
that I will support, honor, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and that I am duly qualified to hold office
and that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state
under the Constitution of the state
and under the Charter of the City of Gainesville,
and under the Charter of the City of Gainesville,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of City Commissioner
the duties of City Commissioner
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Commissioner Chase.
Thank you very much.
Raise your right hand. Place your left hand on the Bible. I,
I,
Helen Warren,
Helen Warren,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
honor,
honor,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and government
and government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and that I am duly qualified
and that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state
of the state
and under the charter
and under the charter
of the city of Gainesville,
of the city of Gainesville,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties of city commissioner
the duties of city commissioner
on which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, this is the part of the job I don't like. I've never been a good public speaker, and it's not going to start today. So even at my church, when I have corporate prayer, I get a little worked up. So if I screw up here, just deal with me. I think out of the box, I act out of the box, and here we go again. First, I just want to thank everybody that has helped me throughout this whole campaign. From the very beginning, when I was asked to run by some good friends, throughout the whole campaign, we set our values and we decided how we were going to run the campaign, and I'm very proud we didn't deviate from that at all, in my opinion. So to everybody that worked on the campaign, I really can't mention each and every one of you because I will forget something and I didn't write it down, but I do need to single out Mason. You've been a brother to me. It's pretty great how God puts two men together, and we're going to have a long friendship, and I love you for that, my friend, and thank you for being true to me. And the good news about the way I speak, it's going to be short, so don't panic. I need to thank my wife, most of all. And as you know, or figured out, I'm an emotional person, so if I tear up here, that's just the way it's going to be. But you have been the greatest gift to me. And I remember us camping and discussing running for city commission, and you immediately getting behind me with your support. And thank you so much. It's just amazing. I just don't know what I'd do without you. And I try to tell everybody how much I love my wife, and now I have another 100 and some odd thousand friends to talk to about it. So I love her very much, and she's everything to me. My children, I'm going to start off with my eldest. Towards the end of my dad's life, it was not a joke, but it became sort of a quest to get him to say, I love you, because he was a tough Marine. And son, I want to tell you, I love you. I really do. Excuse me. I'm very proud of you. David likes fabricating and welding and can do just about anything in that field. And my relationship with him is very important. Nancy, you're amazing. My oldest daughter, and she's hoping to follow in the footsteps of her grandmother and become a nurse someday. Right now she's working with some children and working to get back into the college scene, and I'm just so proud of you, and I love you also. Lori, we've been there. We have a special relationship with Lori, and I just love you so much. And Lori's up at Publix right now and working hard, been there about 1.5 years, and very proud of you. Stephen, my youngest son, wow. You got all mom's brains, all mom's looks, and I'm so proud of you. He was one of the young men up here today. He is also the lieutenant commander of the company at GHS ROTC, which is the highest rank. He's pretty smart in school. I won't brag too much on him about that, but he would like to perhaps go to the Air Force Academy. His backup plan is UF, I think, and then maybe Georgia Tech. So, and he's getting letter after letter for that. A little bit about me and what makes me tick, I guess, is what I have down here. Craig, who am I? And that's a complex story. Some of you that have known me a long time have got me figured out, and the rest of you that haven't had the opportunity to know me, I hope you figure me out and I hope you like me. I honestly don't think I've met somebody that I haven't liked. I pride myself on the fact I don't judge people until I at least get to know them. I've always raised my children that way. If you don't like somebody, that's great, but please don't judge them in advance. And I got thinking about it. Commissioner Warren invited me to the Quality of Florida Gala, and she's really got me thinking about why am I like that. And I brought Paul, and he was a dear friend of mine. He was the best man at my wedding. And Paul called me up a number of years after I was married, and he said, "Can you come get me? I'm in Fort Lauderdale." And I said, "What's the matter?" He goes, "I've been beat up." And I said, "Beat up? Why?" And he said, "Just come and get me." So I got down there, and Paul went ahead and went into this, what happened to him. And I said, "Why'd they beat you up?" He goes, "Well, I came out of a gay bar." And I said, "Well, what were you doing in the gay bar?" That's when Paul told me he was gay. This was 10 years down the road. We were best friends. I didn't know. I guess I didn't know him as well as I thought. And it really made me mad that someone would, how dare they hit Paul or beat Paul up without even knowing him? Because if they knew Paul, they would have never hit him. So obviously I wanted to go beat up everybody that touched Paul, and that didn't work out well. So we didn't do that. But I think at that point perhaps is when I realized you got to get to know somebody before you're able to judge them. So I pride myself on that fact. I don't care if you're an inventor or you have a PhD or you're doing a great job of digging a ditch. I'm very proud to know you, and I hope that's something that I continue to do, and I have a great group of guys that are going to help me stay into that pattern. About my faith, I'll tell you right up front, God's first for me. It's God, family, and then the city of Gainesville. And you don't want it any other way, trust me. You don't want me to get my priorities out of whack, because if I do, everything's going to be out of whack. So please accept me for the way I am, and I've never made bones about it. I'm an elder. I was a deacon, and I'm an elder, and I'm very proud of that fact. And that'll work out well for you as citizens of Gainesville, trust me, because of the way I think and the way I try to process stuff. Some of the things that I think I will bring to the table as city commissioner is the ability to take two opposite parties and let's come to some common ground. Pretty much anything you do in a city, if you're going to do a development, there's going to be someone upset. If you're going to do a new project, someone's going to be curious. So I want to make sure we're completely transparent. I want to be able to look people in the eye and say, I've done my homework, and I can sit down with you, and if I need to sit down again, I will. But I will sit down with you and tell you that this is where we're at and this is why we're going there. I'm also extremely honored to be serving with this group of people. I've gotten to know a couple of you a little bit better. And this Commissioner Raul and I've already had a conversation, and she has not put me in timeout yet. She's principal, so that's good. And then the rest of them, I'm looking forward to. We're all going to get together and serve you well. So I'm very honored about that. This is going to be the hard part. Very hard. These are my fathers. And we lost him about 3 years ago. My father, for all practical purposes, got his GED at Camp Lejeune. He went on from there. He was a very determined guy. If you told my dad you can't, that was going to cause an argument, because you can. I don't care what you want to do the best you can do. My father said, I don't care what you do, son. If you dig a ditch, I want my friends to tell me that they just saw your ditch and it's the best one they ever saw. Be proud of what you do. And I didn't realize how much I loved or missed my father until after he was gone, unfortunately. But he's an amazing human being. He went from a GED to flying the President of the United States. Okay? That's some serious stuff. That's a determined human being. And I believe as I get older, my kids remind me every day I'm more like Grandpa, and I take that as an honoring statement, and I'm very proud to be like my father. And if I serve you as he served so many, again, I think you're going to be fortunate for that. Real quick, my definition of heroes. And why is this important? It is because I don't think if you throw a baseball or catch a football, you're a hero. Sorry. And if I let you down, my hero died for me. Plain and simple. Catlin Mixon, I was hoping he was going to be here today. He's another hero. He's a gentleman that went over to Iraq, unfortunately got blown up, the only survivor of the whole incident, lost both of his legs, part of his elbow, and each day he proves to me why he's a hero. One, he was willing to die for me, and two, he has taken what he has now and he continues to flourish in the community and the environment that he has. That's a hero to me. Got to mention somebody else. You're up, baby. I love you. This is Nicole Keys. She was raised with my kids, known her since she was just a little puppy. And Thanksgiving Day, I get a text, and the text read, Nicole's been in a tragic accident. And I'm sorry. So I did what I thought I should do. I went to the hospital, and Thanksgiving morning, and I'm standing there praying with Nicole. I'm holding her hand, and I hate to say it was a cold, dead hand. She was dead, and in the right hand I had her mom's warm hand, and that's a feeling I never want to feel again. And so Nicole and I, over a period of time, formed a little bond. When she started listening again, and what a miracle you are, darling. You're alive. You shouldn't be. And you are a miracle, baby, and I hope you understand that. I told her, I said, hey, if I win this election, you got to come. If you were a little bit earlier, you'd been standing up here with me, just so you know. So I know your dad makes you ladies late and everything. I got it, baby. I'm all over that. That's why I told him he had to be here at 11:45. But Nicole, what you have done, the understanding of your second life, she hit a tree sideways at what speeds we don't know, but it was pretty bad. And I love the fact that you are embracing your new life. And I just can't wait to see where you go from here. So I'm very proud of you. Let me try to get through this faster. Wow, I already covered some of this. Well, that leaves Dr. Bert Hughes in the back. Hi there, sir. Dr. Bert Hughes is the greatest dentist in the world. Well, is that what you actually wrote? So anyhow, but he asked me, you know, and understand, please, I'm sitting in the chair, there's all these sharp instruments in my mouth. He says, hey, can I talk to you about something political? I said, you can do what you want. You know, I mean, he's got all this, and he had a needle, which I really don't like that. And he asked me to do something very simple. He said, please don't make it us against them situation. He goes, please represent the citizens. And that's what I'm guaranteeing you, Bert, that I'm going to do. And then he asked if he can hold me accountable to that, and I said, yes, you can. So I don't care if you voted for me. I don't care if you held Susan's sign, and I'm glad Susan's here. I don't care. I am now your representative, and I will represent you well. Susan's now one of my citizens, and we're meeting next week. I look forward to working with her. And I can't say enough about the transition time with you, Susan, and I really appreciate the way you treated me and the way you respected me. And again, like I said Thursday night, getting to know your family was great. So I really appreciate that. And thank you for coming today. And I know you didn't come to see Helen, you came to see me, right? So that being said, I'm actually going to stop here. And I just can't tell you what a humbling experience this is. And I pray this feeling never goes away. Because every time I'm amongst you, I hope I feel humbled, because I truly am. So thank you very much.
Any of you who picked the daily double that Carter and Chase would be the first two to cry, get ready to cash in big bucks.
The two biggest.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is I was listening to his speech. You know, I know Craig's fairly well, a little bit socially. I coached Stephen in baseball years ago, but when he wrote his article to the paper, you know, I had just kind of finished working on mine, and I wanted to know how he got a copy of mine, it was very similar, and you're going to hear, you know, kind of a similar theme here today as well, and so I think that's interesting. I also want to let you know that one of the challenges of being a old Navy pilot is getting these damn things. So I used font 32, and we'll see. Maybe I won't have to use my reading glasses, but we'll see how it goes. But I watched the tape last night of my speech 3 years ago, and I was struck by a few things. I was struck by how short my wife has become. All of a sudden, she towered over the kids just 3 years ago. As you all know, my mother was up here on stage with me as well. But I spent about 4 minutes thanking people. And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank everybody that's ever supported me, everybody that's helped me, and everybody that thinks about me and prays for me, and I appreciate it very, very much. It's very humbling in this kind of thing when you have people who actually spend their own time to help you. And so I thank everyone that's out there, and I wouldn't be able to list you all. I am going to specify a couple people today. I want to thank H.C. Williamson, who said the benediction today, and H.C.'s become a special person in my life and a good friend, and it meant a lot that you were up here. And Judge Monaco is someone who I've admired from afar for many years. I interacted with him in the performance of his duties once, and I can only hope that the judges around this country are the same as Judge Monaco, and we're all set in that way. And so I appreciate you very much for being here, and I'm glad to have you. Mary, here we are again. 3 years ago we were here. It's been an amazing 3 years. It's been a lot of challenges, and I quite simply wouldn't have survived it without you. And after I came home from, especially early on, I'd come home from long commission meetings, frustrated at times. I didn't understand why. It just seems like I couldn't get through. And you always kind of just told me to hang in there. You always had a smile on your face. The missed dinners, the time away from the kids, the things that we all go through here. We all make sacrifices to do this. I appreciate it. I love you very much. 22-year anniversary last year, and thank you. And what I was thinking about was something that Mary has said to me a few times along the way. And when we started talking about running for office again, she asked me this thing, and she's asked me it a few times. And she just asked me, why are you doing this? I can only speak for myself. I put my heart and soul into this. I rarely try to speak on the issues if I haven't tried to spend the time learning them. And at times it seemed like it was not worth it. And so she just asked me, why are you doing this? And I think the reason you were asking me was not that you didn't support me or not that you didn't want me to do it, but you wanted me to be able to answer that question in my heart. And I've thought about it a lot, and I have answered it. And it's because of our 3 kids right there. I've talked a lot about my mother when I ran, and I've talked a lot about my mother in my time in office. But I can tell you that I've come to believe that the future that I leave for my children and their peers and others is what drives me to do this and continue to do the best I can. So to you guys, to Nick and Alex and Kristen, I love you all so very much. I wrote that line last night. I love you guys. 3 years ago, I sat up here and I promised you that I would not let you not be the priority in my life. And I've learned that those were little naive statements. And you can't, I don't know how you can do this job well and not have that happen. But I'm going to continue to try on it. I work hard. You guys know that I do everything I can for you. I've learned from my wife's aunt recently that there's a thing called the sandwich generation, which is if you've all been in it before, are in it now, or are coming into it, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to take care of your life while at the time taking care of the lives of your elderly parents and the lives of your children who you're trying to bring up. And it's a challenge that I certainly accept, and I work hard on it every day. So my message to you guys is that I understand that I'm a role model for you in your lives and an influence, and I want to be that when it comes to government too. I don't like our current state of politics in general, so pick your level. In Gainesville, we've got our own little microcosm of good and bad. I see it. I see both sides from both parties, and I hope when I'm done with this that maybe that I've helped improve that and change that a little bit. I ran into a guy at the GPD groundbreaking a couple weeks ago who I've come to know a little bit, and he said to me, came over to me, and he said, "Hey, I wanted to congratulate you on your reelection, and just tell you that I'm happy you're in office. I didn't think you were going to do a very good job or be a very good commissioner, but I think you've done a really good job." You know, and I don't know if that made me more happy or sad. But think about it for a minute. That says, and I'm not saying that I didn't take it personal, and I don't think that he really meant anything by it. That's the problem with politics in our country. I talked about it when I got up here 3 years ago, but simply because you are a Republican or a Democrat, people have preconceived stereotypes about you. Quite frankly, they won't listen to you. And the most ardent revel in your failures and your ridicule. And that's the stuff that's got to stop. I mean, maybe it's always been that way and I'm just naive, but I'm not going to play the game. I haven't, and I think we need to move past that stuff. And I welcome the 2 new commissioners that we have, who are certainly 2 unique and different individuals, and look forward to working with each of them. I want you 3 guys, I want you to become independent-minded people. I want you to be able to think for yourself. I don't want you to follow politics or anything just because that's what I did. You know, I hope that the values and the beliefs that your mother and I instill in you will help form you, but I want you to live your life and evolve and come up with your own beliefs and your own priorities and experience that. And don't let people stereotype you and put you in the corner. The commission over the last year has been kind of, I've heard people talk about there's a dysfunctionality to it. I don't think it's dysfunctional at all. I think what we've seen is we've seen a shift. We've seen, that's politics in this country, right? It seems like we have to slam the pendulum from one side to the other with no progress. And we stand before you right now, 7 of us, to stop that. You know, when I took office, I mean, there was a lot to do about it. I remember I had never been in the paper before, and the next thing you know, I'm in a cartoon looking up at a treehouse and saying, "Can he come in?" And you know, what I'll tell you is that I go to all the meetings, I see what we've done, and the commissioners that I serve with, they have their own beliefs and their own values, but we have evolved and we have made progress, and I think we're going to continue, and I want to continue to fight for that. You know, 2.5 years ago, when I would stay up insanely till 3 or 4 in the morning trying to understand the challenges we had at GRU, you know, I didn't say that I was worried about the future when it was coming because I was a Republican and I was hoping to, like, you know, take shots at people. I said it because I believed it, because based on my experience, what I saw coming wasn't good, and we needed to make steps and take plans. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, when I pleaded that we've got to stop, we got to look at the way we're operating. We have to look at our employees and say, do we give them raises this year and lay some of them off next year? Or do we make prudent plans? Do we take necessary steps to plan? The 7 of us will have to decide in 2 months whether we lay people off. We could have done things. We can still do things. And that's what I want the message for me today to be, is that the 7 of us have this opportunity to work together. We can put our partisanship aside, when in fact, what I've learned, it's not usually the partisanship of the 7 elected officials. It's the people on the sidelines, the people that play it for the sport, the people that are in it for the game, the people who care much less about Gainesville than they do winning an election. We got to stop that too. You know, I think if you polled anybody, the last thing we need is more partisanship. There is an effort underway right now to move our city elections to the fall of even years and make them partisan. My guess is the strategy is that they'll back off of partisanship and say, no, we'll keep them nonpartisan. Hear me right now. We vetted this issue fully, this commission, and we voted on this, and we made a recommendation. Look who's on this and look who's leading this. This is simply about election results, not voter turnout. And if you want to show the proof, I will show it to you anytime. So I tell you now that 7 of us, if you go anywhere in this country and look at a local government that has 7 more diverse people, I challenge you to find that. I mean, just think about the backgrounds that you know of each of us. If you don't know some of us, when you learn it, you'll find out. We have people that were raised in different times, under different environments, and I've learned that I've listened to them, and I will continue to listen. I hope we can work together. We have to stop having false fights. Let's make progress. I don't know how any of you feel when you drive down Northwest 16th Avenue when it's being paved quickly and it looks great and the sidewalks are being widened and we're appealing to a lot of different people there. That thing was delayed for years over these false battles and these false fights. We just passed a transportation surtax that 2 well-known anti-transit, anti-bike ped commissioners, well, one commissioner, one mayor, voted fully in favor for, that spends $45 million in bike ped and transit infrastructure. These are the kind of things that we can do and we can move forward. And as commissioners, we're going to have to make difficult decisions. And I started thinking about inspiring words and all the issues that we might have to face over the next several years. But what I realized was ultimately none of that matters if the set of us don't get along cordially, that we don't respect each other, that we don't listen to each other, that we don't debate hard, but that we make decisions. Because not making decisions that many times is worse than the ones that you might try. Let's move forward. I welcome Commissioner Carter and Commissioner Warren to this commission, and I thank Commissioner Botcher and Commissioner Hawkins for their service, who are both here. We have plenty of work to do, and I'm looking forward to it for the next 3 years. So, I had a list of issues, I had a list of things. I just want the people that are watching the city commission, the citizens, the employees, the customers of GRU, the employees of GRU, the university, the business community, everybody to know that we are dedicated to working together and making progress. And I'm going to close with a story that I wanted to share, and I couldn't stop thinking about it because it's important, and it's something I haven't told a lot of people. And it has to do with my mom, and it has to do with my experience with her death. As you know, so 3 years ago I sat up here, got sworn in. Exactly 2 weeks later, on June 2nd, my wife calls me at the city commission a half hour prior to my second meeting, said, "You got to get to the hospital, your mom's on the way. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's serious." So that started a 2-year journey of me shepherding my mother and preparing my mother to die. And every commission meeting I went to, everything I did in my life, I always had this goes back to that sandwich generation. You get so pulled. You want to do so much for everybody. So we got through it. My mother struggled, but she hung in there for almost 2 years. And what I want to share with you is a true story, and I can't make it up. I can tell you that I've heard things like this before, and I've always not necessarily at times I've believed them or doubted them. But my mother raised 2 boys, single mom, worked hard, and we both went on to be officers in the Navy. I was a pilot, my brother was a submariner, and you'll know why that's important here in a second. I brought my mom into hospice on Wednesday, February 13th, of 2012, and she was obviously failing. She was starting to kind of accept her fate. I stayed with her that day. I spent time with her on the 14th, which was Valentine's Day. On the 15th, on Friday, I stayed all day and afternoon with her, spent the night with her. And then on Saturday, it wasn't looking good, but I was exhausted. I didn't sleep. And so Mary came over, and she said, why don't you go home, and why don't you get a shower, take a little nap, I'll be here. So she stayed there. I went home real quick. She was at Haven Hospice, and my phone rang shortly after I got home, and she said, "Honey, you got to get back. Something's going on." So I jump in my car, I fly back. This was a gray morning. It was drizzly, it was gray, and I'm driving into Haven Hospice, and there are 2 little boys about this size in Navy flight suits running in a field beside Haven Hospice with a dad watching them. And I noticed it. I was like, wow, Nick and Alex used to have flight suits and run around. So these 2 little boys running in flight suits, and I'm parking and I'm running and I'm sprinting down the hallway, and I run into the door of my mother's room, and there's a beam of light there. Gray day, beam of light, and I think I was able to share her last breath with her. So Mary tells me, and I'm going to believe her. But she was crying, and I said, "What's going on?" She's like, I don't know what just happened. I said, what do you mean? She said, "Well, your mom started kind of moving and acting funny." And she said, and sun started filling her room, and I looked out, and there was 2 little boys in flight suits sitting right at her window. And then they ran away. And she breathed her last breath. So what I want to tell everyone out there today, anyone that's struggling, anyone that's listening, there is a God and there is a heaven. And Mom, I'm going to see you soon, someday. Thank you.
Guys, that's a hard act to follow. We did not get together and talk about what we were going to be saying today, and I'm going to take you on a different journey. But where we were a year ago and to be here today, I just want to say it's a most amazing place, and I want you to know I'm going to do 100% of the best that I can to meet the needs and the love of this community, because we are all here today because we love this town. And I'm not going to give you the stories about how I got here back in the 70s, because I really thought I had a short script to go with, and I'm going to try to stick to it. So with that, good afternoon. I'd like to start off with thanking Judge Walter Green for administering the oath of office for me today. You have started the journey that I am about to go on. And I didn't think I was going to cry, so who's got that Kleenex? And that's what new clothes are for. So I'd like to thank you, Judge, for getting me started on this journey. And I wish to thank Mayor Brady. You've been very welcoming. I appreciate the calls that you gave the morning after the election, and again yesterday as we're about to begin today. And I'd like to thank the fellow commissioners that are here at the table for the patience and the forbearance that I promise they will get to exercise as I learn the ropes and the deals and the conversations, especially to deal with the Sunshine Law, because I have been an out front, open-faced, this is what I think, let's talk about what we need. And dealing with the Sunshine Law, I respect it and I will learn it, but I want to be open to all the other members of the community to be your pair of ears that you can come to, because you are the ones that elected me. Whether you voted for me or not, I want to respect you all. So congratulations to new Commissioner Craig Carter. We're going to get along great. Commissioner Chase for his re-election, and all the stories I know that I'll be hearing about your family. I'm anticipating that, and I'll embrace that. It's a big part of your life, and I appreciate that. I also want to give my sincere thanks to the former commissioners, Susan Botcher, a neighbor, a friend, and somebody that I look up to in so many ways. And to Thomas Hawkins for the leadership he has provided here for the last 6 years, being willing to take up the conversation about things that we need to think about for where are we going in this city. And he was willing to take those challenges, whether it was a popular thought or not, seeing the way other cities were doing things and saying these are some things we can think about doing here in Gainesville. Thomas Hawkins, thank you. I'd also like to thank my friends and the fellow activists who encouraged me to run for this position, for the community leaders who offered advice, support, and their guidance along this campaign trail. And especially to give thanks to the community of my place of faith. I see many of my family of UCG here today, and with not having direct family members here, we often go into a community where we find the people who are there, we adopt them as our extended family. And I've got to say that this family that I have found in Gainesville it's as good as family. And maybe in some regards better than family. As they say, you don't choose your family, but you certainly do choose your friends. And this is a great community to be in. I love this town. So then I also wish to thank the media and those community groups that held the forums. And I especially want to thank the fellow candidates that I ran with. I see Donald Shepard here, Mark Vensky. Thank you for being here today. And I'm sorry if I'm not seeing others, but running with you and carrying those conversations that we did in the campaign helped me to identify and articulate the position that I was going to take on various issues along the way. I do know that as I'm in office, there will be decisions that'll come up, and I don't want somebody asking me how I'm going to vote until I've heard all the information. I'm not going to make promises ahead of time, I do have an idea as to how I think the city's going to grow, but it's been on a path already that came here before I did. And I'm not an individual who's going to be able to do anything spectacular. We are all just one link in that chain, and I really admire the conversation that we're hearing today about being able to work together. So as I said, I thank those of you who voted for me and those who didn't. I am here to represent all of you, and I won't forget that. And then I want to acknowledge my campaign team. In particular, Helen Strain, for keeping me focused and our team focused on how to get through this. I've never been a politician. I wouldn't have known where to have gone other than shaking hands and kissing babies at the public shopping center, you know? So Helen, thank you for your leadership and your expertise. And then also to Casey Willits, who came in out of the blue. When there was a runoff announced, the next day he was here in town, ready to help and put his expertise in running the field part of the campaign. Casey, thank you. I am here because of you guys. You helped the campaign. The rest of you either voted for me or did not. I appreciate all of the interns and the volunteers who worked on this campaign. You guys were amazing, and the hours that you put in. I know you were awake before I was on some days and awake after I'd gone to sleep some days. The phones, all of you want to complain about getting too many phone calls. I got to tell you, it works. Because up to the last hour, we had people knocking on doors, and we had this one situation where a woman answered the door, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to vote. I'm just waiting for Tuesday." Sean was able to point out to her, it's Tuesday, and you've got 1 hour to get out and vote, and she did. So I thank the team for keeping your energy up, and it's just so great to see these young individuals getting involved in the process and knowing that they're going to be doing this and become leaders in their communities wherever you end up. Thank you all. I also want to thank the friends near and far who helped make those phone calls, waved signs, donated money and food, and knocked on the doors that helped to get me elected. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And speaking of my heart, I need to thank my amazing partner of 14 years, Flo Turcotte, for, as we've all mentioned, the moment we talk about getting into the campaign, we have to talk to those that we share our lives with. And Flo has been a part of my life for the last 14 years, and I thank you for that. You've provided boundless energy, optimism, kept me going on Facebook when I didn't know where the buttons were, and encouragement every step of the way. Thank you for being there and being the mountain that moved me from St. Petersburg to Gainesville back in 2000. And I want to thank you for welcoming me into your family, along with our two daughters, your daughters, Celine and Devin who's here with us today. Thank you for being here. Now on to the big picture. I want to thank the city staff who have already been giving me a glimpse of the amazing work that they are doing here and to help me recognize the complexity of the issues that are facing our city. I am here for you as well, every one of you. As soon as I decided to run, I found that I have friends, associates, and neighbors who stand on both sides of every issue that we're going to face. And I need to know that I've got to be able to take a position and explain why I'm that position, not only to the supporters, but to those who are on the other side of a decision. Our city has some significant challenges in the near future. And these challenges are not for Gainesville alone. They are of a global nature. Every nation and city is facing the challenge of population growth, whether they have it coming in or it's going out, but how they're going to deal with those populations and the people who are there, and the impact that this puts on our environment and the natural resources. We are also faced with the challenge of building economic prosperity that will benefit the skills of all of our citizens, regardless of their GED, PhD skill level. Every individual in this community seeks to have a place where they belong and where they can feel that they are contributing. And we are seeing that this city, Gainesville, is a place that can create some of those prosperity challenges and opportunities. And we're seeing innovation changes and growth in the city coming together with the urban needs of the business community and the town and gown. When I was a student here, there was a big separation with what happened on with the university and what happened on in the town. And we are seeing changes of partnerships that are building from those three legs of the stool, and they're critical for the success of this community. What I offered during my campaign was a promise to keep the door open to the conversation on how Gainesville can deal with these challenges in a way that fits the personality of this town. I did not promise to start any new initiative that could be pulling the rabbit out of the hat like a magician. What I suggested during the campaign is that the solutions to the problems we face need to have the support of the people. We are the ones who need to look at the changes that will be happening with or without a plan. We need to share in the responsibility of driving this vehicle of change into the future, and this can put a new meaning to mass transit. During the early period of this century, and I'm talking about the last 14 years, it was the people who demanded that we do something different for energy production. Gainesville took the lead in formulating a policy to reduce our carbon footprint and to seek alternatives to the fuels used for our energy production. With a projected growth that was expected in that period of time in our area, a decision was made to build a power plant that could provide energy beyond our city limits. This decision was supported by the anticipation that other communities would buy into our energy production, as they too would be striving to reduce their carbon footprint. And we can continue to hear on a daily basis the importance of what is happening with global change, climate change, warming, cooling, whatever you want to call it. Something is happening, and every city has a spot that they can be responsible and do something different. Gainesville received national and global recognition for its actions to reduce our carbon footprint. This was also one of those a blessing and a curse moments that will be a benchmark in our city's history as we look at how we're going to deal with that in moving forward. Many of the challenges that are also being faced by other cities across the nation, and that is dealing with how we're dealing with the budget to meet the needs of the services of the city that we live in. We have all seen our city deal with a reduction in the budget for the last 6 years. And during my orientation process, I met with the department heads of every section of our city government. And I was really impressed with these departments had gone beyond the standard of staying within their budget. What they recognized was that the value of improving their departments in spite of this recession, many city departments went out and sought and secured grants, which allowed them to supplement the funding for the services that were otherwise a reduced budget. This practice exemplifies the personal commitment of our city to exceed in the delivery of its basic services. It is this type of commitment to their work that has led to the recognition of our city on a national level that is in an outstanding community. I have also been meeting with members of our Chamber of Commerce as representatives of the business community in Gainesville. This process has provided a healthy respect for the partnership that is growing between the public service, the government, and the business communities. Not only do we need to look at partisan issues, but we need to look at the economic and government issues so that we can all work together, because whether you are a business person or a city commissioner, we still come back to how do we live in the city and how do we pay our bills and how do we welcome each other as we meet each other day to day. Whether we like it or not, with the recognition that we are receiving across the nation, we have become a destination. This is also a blessing and a curse. The challenge for us as new commissioners is that we are jumping on a moving train, if you will. We must understand where we have been, where we are now, and where we are going. Many of the decisions of our city commission that our city commission makes in the next 3 years will reflect the diversity of the perspectives each of us are bringing to the dais. But we must work together, and work together we will. and the conversations we're having today will hold each other accountable for those promises. I offer to bring together to this team my experience as working as a member of a team, and I expect to gain a lot more experience in the next 3 years. I want to thank all of you for being here today, and to thank all the members of our city, business workers, and just everybody. That the next 3 years are going to be exciting. I'm going to look forward to taking my duties seriously. I'm not doing this to think about, winning another election in 3 years. I want to provide the services today, have some of those difficult conversations that we need to have, because we are living in a transformative period of time. Thank you.
Well, and thank you, all three of you, for some very inspiring remarks, very inspiring comments. The next item is the election of the Mayor Commissioner Pro Tem. Commissioner Carter.
I'd like to nominate Todd Chase.
Okay. Motion, I'm sorry, I saw a hand. So, Mayor, Commissioner Chase.
Yes.
Okay, and you seconded it. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Commissioner Chase. You're the new Mayor Commissioner Pro Tem.
More meetings?
That's right. I'll give you my schedule. And so now, someone said, well, we're looking forward to what you have to say, Mayor Brady. Well, I'm not. I don't think anyone else is. So with that said, we have refreshments at the back, and you have a lot of people here that many of you worked so hard to get here. So enjoy the fellowship, and this meeting is adjourned.